Welcome to Youth Corner. I'm Ibrahim Rahman. This is the friendly chat show for the youth, a place to talk about what you do, recognise your achievements, share your experiences and inspiring stories, and discuss topics that matter to you. As always, another inspiring guest joins me in the studio today. Introducing Sayful Alam. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, very well, thank you. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. Yeah,
It's
how are
really
you?
good to have you. Yeah, no, I'm very well, thank you. Alhamdulillah. It's good to have you. Just want to talk about the things that you've done, because you've done some quite amazing things over the last few years. So let's first of all start off talking about your background.
Sure.
So tell us what you do and where you're from.
Yeah. So I live in Cambridge with my family. Currently, I'm a teaching assistant at a secondary school. I mainly work with the maths department, but there are times that obviously we're called to other departments to help out. And a maths intervention teacher, as well as helping out with the admin stuff for the teaching assistant. In the evening, I teach Islamic studies to children, mainly on a Saturday morning where we have specific classes for the students to come and learn about Islam, memorize the Quran, read the Quran, learn hadith, and besides that, there are a few other projects that I'm involved with, and yeah, that's me.
Wow, fantastic. How's that all going so far?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it gets busy sometimes, and especially September, the month where everything sort of starts again, and we had 2 teacher training days, getting used to what we're going to be planning for the next year ahead. So yeah, it's a busy time now, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a challenge, yeah.
So that's it, summertime's gone now, we're into September, so this is where it all kicks off,
it all kicks off now, yeah.
Well, I'm sure it'll go really well. But let's talk about education. So I want to talk about your experiences, particularly after the age of 16, and what did you do from that point?
So when I was about 13 years old, I went to a madrasa.
A few years before that, yeah.
A few years before that.
Go ahead.
I went to a madrasa boarding school up north, where I went to memorize the Quran and understand the meaning of the Quran. Essentially, that was why I went there. I studied there for about 11 years. 4 years it took me to memorize the Quran, and afterwards there was a 7-year course, BA in Islamic Studies and Arabic Literature. So it was a very intense course, but
what was involved in the course?
The course was mainly focusing on Arabic, learning Arabic grammar, learning Arabic as well as understanding it, being able to read it, being able to write it. And the first few years was just learning Arabic, and then the last 3-4 years was just really deeply looking into books of fiqh, hadith, learning about religion, learning about why we do this in a certain way, etc. So it was a very intense course, but it was nice because obviously you grow together with your classmates, with your colleagues, and for 7-8 years you're with you're in the same boarding school together, and it was a very memorable time.
Wow, that sounds like a very long time then, about
Yeah.
over a decade, and you spent in one place.
Oh,
so
yes.
You must have missed home then.
I used to miss my mom's cooking, yeah.
Oh.
We used to get holidays every 2 months or so. We used to come home for Eid, we used to come home for Ramadan. Usually sometimes during the month of Ramadan, the teachers would send us out to different places in the UK, even abroad, to lead the Taraweeh prayer. So I've been a few places abroad, and I've been a lot of places in the UK as well.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what were those experiences like? I mean, did you go abroad then?
Oh yeah, I did go abroad. I went to Ireland, and I went to Belgium, which was interesting. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. What was it like going to Ireland, Belgium?
I mean, it was because it was my first time traveling alone. Me and my partner, who was going to lead the Taraweeh prayer. Independence, Maybe before that, I always used to travel with my family, and this time I was traveling by myself. So I was scared, and I was young as well. Yeah. But I was looking forward to the challenge that was, to lead the prayer, to experience Ramadan in a different country. It was amazing.
Yeah, very different to the UK, I can
yes,
imagine.
Yeah.
But that's quite amazing. So going back to the Institute of Islamic Education, that's where you studied. So tell us more about this institute then. I mean, how do people want to enroll there?
Usually people who are, students who are in year 7, year 8, they can apply for a place. Students who are above 8 or 9 or year 7, year 8, it's quite difficult for them to apply because I think the madrasa, the boarding school, they don't allow students to come in too late. Otherwise, it becomes quite, it's going to be a very long course for them and they'll graduate when they're 25, 26. So it's best to start early and they take students when they are very young. And I guess one of the main reasons why they do this is because when you're young, your mind is more fresh. Your ability to memorize, to learn, it's very fresh. And our teachers always used to say that the younger you are, the more able you are to memorize.
It's easier to learn.
It's
at that
easier
age as
to
well.
learn, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of other courses, I mean, do they offer other courses there as
Well,
well? 'Cause you said you did
yeah.
Arabic literature. I mean, but are there other courses that you can do there too?
Well, I did my GCSEs there and I did A-levels there, Arabic and Urdu. So there are other courses that you can do side by side. At the moment, they haven't really expanded to maths or other subjects, science, English. But I think that's something they're looking to do in the near future.
Right. Okay. So, but in terms of your overall experience there,
Oh yeah,
how do you sum it up?
I mean, the best things were the, as I said, with the students, with the family. It's like your own family growing up together and spending time together, learning. And the teachers, they were amazing. The teachers helped us out whenever we needed help or anything.
I mean, the support was always there,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Whenever you needed them, you could always go to them. Sounds like a
Yeah, it was-
very amazing place, mashallah. So, and then you went on to Cambridge Muslim College. So, just tell our viewers a bit about what this college is all about.
So Cambridge Muslim College, luckily, because I live in Cambridge, it was quite easy for me to apply and also be able to spend time at home rather than spend after 11 years I didn't want to spend time away from home for any further years.
Yeah.
So I think Cambridge Muslim College, it's a college where you get to contextualize. It's basically all about what you learn in madrasa. What I learned in madrasa was all theory, and in Cambridge Muslim College they teach you how to sort of the practical side of things, how to apply it in your community.
Okay.
So, in a sense, when a person graduates from a Islamic seminary, they have the knowledge, but sometimes because they haven't had the experience, the whole touching the community and being there first, Cambridge Muslim College allows you to learn about how to, be an imam, and if some of the issues that you may encounter, how to sort of resolve them and further go on. But I mean, it was a very intense course, 18 modules, and it really teaches you about everything. Literally, they teach you everything. It's so that after that 1 year, you have an opportunity to go into whichever field you like the most, or you enjoyed the most, or you want to pursue a career in. So yeah.
So is it after doing this diploma at this college, is that where you finally decided, I want to go down this particular career path?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I had my mind set on teaching immediately after I finished my boarding school, but then Islamic College, Cambridge Muslim College, it really helped me to understand the whole psychology of teaching and the whole, how to apply it, how to teach correctly, as well as, helped me to equip myself with some of the things that you need as an imam. Because at the moment I am a part-time imam, and the skills that I learned at Cambridge Muslim College is really benefiting me, such as counselling, such as holding events, etc.
Wow, fantastic. So, so why did you decide to particularly study that course then? So what was the course that you studied?
The course was a diploma in contextualizing Islamic studies.
Okay.
So whatever we learned in madrasa, just being able to apply it in society, in your community.
Right, so that was the actual title of the course. Okay, that's great. And is that something that anyone can apply to then, or is it
I think
certain qualifications to get in?
you do need a qualification in terms of you need to be a graduate from an Islamic seminary. I mean, at the moment they take students from all over the world. There are students from different parts of the world, and it's
only got a global appeal then, hasn't it?
It does.
Okay. Wow, fantastic. So obviously that moves on to your work with the youth then.
Yeah.
So I guess once you've done that diploma, that also not just did it help you decide to go into teaching, but it helped you decide that you wanted to do more things with the youth as well, didn't you? So tell us about the work that you've done so far then, because you've done a range of things so far.
Okay, so
What was the first thing you did?
after finishing, whilst I was studying at the Cambridge Muslim College, I realized that there was nothing for the youngsters in Cambridge in terms of nothing, no Islamic events, no Islamic activities that were happening in Cambridge. And part of me felt responsible to, initiate something like this, because after studying for so many years and having that knowledge of, Islamic knowledge background, I just felt like it was part of my responsibility to teach, to actively involve the youngsters in Cambridge. So me and a friend sat together and we thought, what can we do? How can we do something for the youngsters that they can learn about Islam not in a very hostile or very sort of strict environment, but rather in a fun fun environment where they can learn about it as well as enjoy it as well. So then that led me to think about holding events, holding fun activities for the youngsters, and in fact we started off by holding an Islamic conference, Muslim youth conference, for the first time in Cambridge, and we had a lot of people helping us out, a lot of businesses who wanted to promote who sponsored us for the event, which was very good and very it felt like I had a lot of support from Cambridge. Fantastic. To do this, and the event itself went very nicely, very smoothly. We had hundreds of youngsters who came, male, boys, girls, not just the youngsters, even adults enjoyed it. Some of my friends from London, my colleagues, my classmates, we all came together and we spoke about different subjects that affects the youngsters nowadays. And overall, I think it was a success. But I think we must not be complacent and just sit down and think that's a one-off event.
We have to build.
We have to build now. Yeah. That's the next challenge. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, it's interesting that you say that, your experience is that we haven't seen a lot of activities and things going on in Cambridge. I mean, because to many of our younger viewers watching, I mean, when they associate Cambridge, they think of that being a place of education, a place of innovation. So that might come as quite a surprise to those maybe thinking, well, I'm surprised that there's not a lot going on in Cambridge, because also, if you think about it, it's not that far from London as well. So, but
I mean,
why was that the case? Perhaps?
Some of the ideas that we actually had about, how to hold events, how to hold activities for the youngsters, it's come from London. It's come from areas outside Cambridge. Unfortunately, Cambridge is not as active as it should be, I think. I mean, when we look at the generation before us, they had their own set of challenges. They had their own set of obstacles in life that were, they found very difficult to balance between Islam and maybe life itself, how to earn money, etc. Sure. But this year's generation, the younger generation, the generation that is to come, the future generation that involves the youngsters, there's a whole new level of challenges. So really, we want to really get to the youngsters using these ideas, but rather than going down the negative route, using it in a positive way. Like, for example, social media nowadays, it's everywhere, and the youngsters are always on the phone. So if we can do something maybe that they can benefit from using their social media, we're going to try our best to sort of promote Islamic things through those mediums.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, it's a good point, because the previous generations, they didn't have access to technology. I mean, that was something that barely even existed. So, but nowadays we do have things like with digital technology, which is the way forward for us now. So that obviously helps us to engage and learn things in many different ways. Lack of resources, that was the problem back then in terms of how we used to learn about things. So things really have moved on since. So what other events have you done in terms of
well, after the success of the first event that we held in Cambridge, we decided, now we've got the youngsters, they like us, they enjoy our talks, and they're learning. Main thing is the learning. So a few months later, what we did was we organized another event in Cambridge, but this was an event where it was called a night in the masjid.
Okay.
So this was a night spending in the mosque. We had over 60 students, 60 youngsters who showed interest, and they came along. And what we did basically was we stayed in the mosque, we had fun, we played FIFA, we did wrestling, we did tug of war. But then at the same time, we wanted them to enjoy it, but at the same time, we wanted them to learn as well. So what we did throughout the night was, we'd have our times where we had, fun activities. We ordered pizza and everything. But at the same time, what we also ensured was that they focus on themselves, ask for repentance, pray extra prayers during the night time, remember Allah more often. And really, I think the main thing that we wanted to achieve from this was for them to connect to their spiritual self. I think that was one of the main things that we wanted to, our aims and objectives was that the youngsters, they feel after they spent a night in the masjid that a mosque is not a scary place. A mosque is not scary. A mosque was, in the Prophet's time, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, during his time, the mosque was used for a lot of things, not just for praying. And similarly, we want the youngsters to grow up feeling that they can come to the mosque. There's no fear, in order for them to come out of their comfort zone, we had to make them stay in the mosque for them to feel that, it's like any other place. But this place I can come to achieve a bit of peace in my life, to ask God to forgive my sins, etc. So I think overall we accomplished that. More and more students, they come to the mosque, they enjoyed the whole evening, and I think hopefully it was successful.
Great, that sounds good. So what else have you got planned for the future?
As an organization, of course, after holding many events, like many talks, inviting scholars from London and outside Cambridge, we thought that we can establish an Islamic organization in Cambridge that deals not just with the youngsters, but with Muslims in general. And we came up with the organization Al-Ansar. So we founded Al-Ansar. And Al-Ansar, the tagline is helping to inspire. And really, that's what our aim and objectives is. Whether it's a talk, whether it's an activity, whether it's, anything. The main aim for us is helping the children to be inspired and be more eager to learn about the religion, and go closer to Allah.
That's right. So in terms of obviously teaching them and inspiring them to learn, what can you sort of get out of them? How can you get them to do something productive? What are you kind of educating them? Are you teaching them skills as well? I mean,
so at the same time, so of course these events are enjoyable and they're learning how to get close to Allah and how to feel that spirituality within themselves. But at the same time, they are learning skills. What we have planned for the future is trips where they can get together as team members and be able to compete with each other, being able to work together. And these are things that later on maybe they can even write on the CV that what they have achieved by going to these events. And this is the future long-term plans for them to learn social skills, for them to learn other skills that they can implement maybe in other fields of life. Right. So hopefully we have things planned, but fingers crossed that it all goes well.
Yeah, inshallah, hopefully. So it's great to hear. Obviously, you've done so many things over these last few years in terms of what you learned in education, how you've applied that, putting that towards the youth as well, and all these other activities. So now, come to this point now where we are coming towards the end of the show, but just want to summarise what we've discussed, just very briefly. So in terms of advice you'd give to the youngsters as well, so let's say those who also want to become imams themselves, or go into sort of the higher tiers of Islamic teaching as well, what kind of advice would you recommend to them?
I think first and foremost, if the interest, the eager to learn, that has to come from within themselves. Because nowadays we have information, on our smartphones. We can access the internet within seconds. Yeah. So information overload, we're overloaded with information. But the thing is, we need to be eager to learn and learn about our religion, how to apply certain rules in our religions. And if that interest or that eagerness is not there, then it's very difficult to sort of even go into the field of knowledge. Because when you want to learn, you will sacrifice. And again, sacrificing your time, sacrificing your time, as you know, that these are qualities that a person needs in order to go forward and go deeper into the religion and be active members of the community. Even as a youth worker, maybe if a person wants to go into youth worker, then he'll need to sacrifice time. He'll need to do a bit of research, how to get the best out of these events, how to get the best out of these talks. So I guess it requires sacrifice, eagerness to learn, and if a person wants to memorize the Quran or learn more about the religion, then I mean, you do need, ideally working with a partner is the best, because then they will, you know, it's like going to the gym. When you go by yourself, you give out after the first rep. But if you go with a friend or a partner, then they'll help you, they'll support you. So if you want to memorize the Quran or just learn about religious education, then having a partner, having someone there, going to a teacher, these are the best things, because that will force you and that will make you continue and pursue your goals, hopefully.
Yeah, because it's about the circles and the networks that you build as well. If you're in good company, I assume that automatically you would be going in the right direction. But if you get in the wrong crowds and things, that can obviously lead to further problems in the future.
Of course.
So it's about building those right networks, isn't it? So that's really good. I've really enjoyed your company, and you've come all the way from Cambridge as well to join me. So really appreciated your input today.
No problem.
So many thanks to Sayful Alam for joining me at Youth Corner today. And it's been a great adventure so far. Obviously, we've done 11 episodes, but I will be taking a short break, but hopefully we'll be back again very soon. But if you do want to join the show, if you do want to be a guest, you want to be sitting on this chair right next to me, then do get in touch. The email address is youthcorner@lb24.tv. Until next time, I've been Ibrahim Rahman. Thanks again for joining me. It's goodbye for now.